So James built a drum smoker over Christmas. He's been hearing about you talk about how good the flavor is on drum smoker. So he built him one over Christmas, and he loves it, but he's mainly done short and hot cooks. And this first low and slow was some ribs. The ribs had great flavor, but the bottom half were pretty overcooked and super dry, almost to the point of crispy.
I got you, James. Here's what you do. You cover half of whatever your fire basket is with aluminum foil. So
the actual basket.
The actual top of the basket. So put your coals in it, however you want to put them. You can fill it up. But only light one spot, the open spot. And then you got one spot that's covered with aluminum foil.
So you're almost making indirect.
Yeah, you're making an indirect zone. And so what I do is I light the one area of my fire basket, and it's got exposed over the top. Half of it's covered up. That way, if I put meat over it, there's aluminum foil over that side. It's never going to get too hot. And every, I would say 15, 20 minutes, I'm spinning my rack where the ribs are laying on. So they're all spending equal time in a zone where there's no direct flames underneath them. And that really, really, especially in a rib cook, really helps you out there. They don't get too dark, and they don't, because I've seen that happen. And that's the big thing about drums. You don't realize that's a lot of heat coming up, and you're pretty daggum close to it. So you have to take that into account. And it's harder to check a drum down to real low and slow cooking. They like to cook at 275, so you are a lot hotter. You have to realize that. Now, what I've also seen, and in the drum build I did, I put lower studs in the wall to hold another grate. So it gave me two options for cooking. But really what it did was when I put my other grate down on that lower level, I can take a pizza pan, like a perforated pizza pan or any kind of thing like that. You
would get them
cover it in full.
At like the dollar store.
Yeah, cover it in full and set it on that rack. So it's a diverter. It'll slow your heat down a little bit, and it deflects that intense heat off the bottom of whatever you got up there. So you got two options there that'll really help you out. But you'll learn it as you're cooking on it, what it takes and what it's doing. How often you need to rotate or move.
Do you flip them?
I used to.
Yeah.
Before I learned that I could cover that with foil, I didn't come up with that. I mean, those Gateway guys were doing it. That's where all that came from. They were figuring out they know how to cook on those things way better than I do. So that was just something I got from them. And I was like, man, that makes sense. So when I started doing it, my ribs turned out 100 times better because I wasn't scorching that bottom of them because they were always staying bone side down, and it would just get the bottoms over crispy. I didn't care so much because it's the bottom, because, there's not much.
Yeah,
but you still want them to look good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't turn it over and it's all black.
But I don't want to go to bite it. And
it'd be charred.
Tastes
That's
like
right.
ash.
Well, what happens is when you do put something sweet on that bottom, it's going to burn down there, and that's what you don't want to happen. And, flipping them back and forth, giving them equal time on top side as bottom side, that works too. It kind of evens it out. But I've really noticed it when I didn't have something, in between the meat and the fire right there.
So it's all about making your own little diverter.
That's it. Yep.
Kinda.
Even with butts, I would rotate. Man, I got to where I'd cook on a drum. I'd usually halftime have that firebox because I never needed the full thing rolling. It's not like you need a whole big fire in a drum. It doesn't take much at all. So you can lower the amount of coals that you get hot in there. You can also put some foil down there to shield it, and that's the easiest way. The fire's still going to burn up under that full. You're just not going to have flames coming out the top of it. The heat's going to be directed out back to the side. So it slows your fire down a lot.